Meg Gatto.
And I'm Lauren McCoy. A lawsuit is filed to block the implementation of a new state law, which vaping advocates say will effectively end the sale of a number of popular vape brands in Louisiana.
The impacts of the legislation are already being felt at smoke shops across the area, but advocates for the law say it's needed to protect children. David Jones joins us now with the story.
Meg, this all stems from a vaping tax approved by the legislature and the amendments to that tax which followed. Proponents of the new laws are seeking to crack down on popular vape brands which they say extensively market to children, while opponents maintain supporters of the law are hiding behind children and hurting adults in the process.
We got in and out customers. People that come in, they see no disposable, they just walk out.
Motaz Ahmad is the manager at Vape on Jefferson Highway. His shelves, which once carried popular disposable vape brands like Elf bars, are now empty.
Vape shops that are the only vape that they got selling vapes, they're just gonna close down and they're gonna lose hundreds of thousands of dollars.
During the spring legislative session, lawmakers passed House Bill 635, introduced by St. Tammany Republican Representative Paul Hollis. It amends the state tax on vape products. The amendment limited vaping products sold in the state to only those explicitly approved by the FDA. Those products would be listed in a yet-to-be-published registry.
Right now, you've got a lot of different rogue vapes on the market, and I think they're extremely dangerous.
Hollis says the intent of the legislation was to protect children in Louisiana from vape products which he says are oftentimes manufactured overseas.
You've got entities out there that are not regulated, product that's coming in from outside the United States with no regulation whatsoever. That if you're going to want to offer a product that goes into the lungs of our kids, then you need to have strong regulation, and that's all my bill did.
It's almost like they're only looking at the youth and they're disregarding the adult users.
Allison Buchner is vice president of American Vapor Manufacturers. She points to data from the recently published National Youth Tobacco Survey, which shows e-cigarette use down in high school students from 14% last year to 10% this year. In 2020, numbers show 1 in 5 high school students reported vaping. Buchner maintains e-cigarette usage is on the decline in kids, and she says this law punishes adults who use vapes to quit smoking.
And not only that, there are 600,000 adult smokers in Louisiana. That is one of the worst rates in the entire nation.
Buchner says FDA pre-market approvals are hard to come by. Fewer than 24 were granted in the past 2 years alone.
If they're only approving tobacco flavors because of the children, why are only big tobacco products being approved in a tobacco flavor? There's hundreds of small businesses that will now no longer be in business because of this.
A lot of people don't know that the FDA didn't even have oversight on vape products until 2016. And you're only talking 7 years ago, and they're struggling, racing to catch up. But during this time period, there have been all kinds of just horror stories that have existed with people that choose to use vape products.
In a statement to Fox 8 this afternoon, the state's alcohol and tobacco commissioner acknowledges this law gives ATC regulatory authority of all vape products in the state. He says ATC will vigorously defend its obligation to protect Louisiana citizens, and he says he looks forward to a decision rendered in its favor. The registry was supposed to have been made public already, but due to this new lawsuit filed by the Louisiana Convenience and Vape Association, it has now been pushed back to Monday at the earliest. Meg?
Thank you, David.